Hello and welcome to this tutorial on users and groups in Azure. In this tutorial we'll be discussing how to manage access to resources in Azure by creating and managing users and groups. So what are users and groups? Let's start with the basics. In Azure, a user is an individual who needs to access resources like virtual machines, databases, or applications. A group is a collection of users that you can manage as a single entity. By assigning permissions to users and groups, you can control who can access your resources and what they can do with them. Get started with creating users and groups. Navigate to the Azure portal and log into your account. Select the Azure Active Directory from the left-hand menu button. The Azure Active Directory can also be accessed from the Global Search button located at the top of the screen. From here, you can create new users and groups. To create new users, click on the User button, and at the top, select New User. When selecting New User, it brings down a drop-down menu. Create a new user. Over here you have the user principal name. Fill in the details as you deem fit for your organization, and type in also the display name. At this point I'll use demo123 for the user principal name and demo as the display name. Leave it at auto generate password and make sure the account is enabled. Then put in the rest of the user's details. This is not necessary right now and can be done later on. We'd also move ahead to the assignments tab, where we can add administrative unit, add user to an administrative unit, a group, or a role. Clicking on the role, we can see the various roles available, and we are going to discuss this further in the class. These are some of the built-in roles that are available. You can also add the user to the group, like I said, and also add them to an administrative unit. Now we create that particular user. We have his details in there. Click on create and the user will be created within the second. Now let's look at groups. To get into groups, click on the groups button. It's quite similar to creating a user. All you have to do is click on groups, and at the top click on new group. This brings you to a form where you can input the name of the group, the group type, and other details. Leave it in security, as this is not a Microsoft 365 group like we discussed earlier. In the group name, I'll be typing in demo, and in the group description we type in demo purposes. Now we are not selecting owners or members. Let's create a group, and then you can search for your created group already. Sorry about that. Search for your group demo. At this point, if you do not find your group, go ahead and click on the refresh button. It will refresh everything, and you would probably find your group at this particular point. If you do not find them, check your notifications, and you would see everything that has been created, and you can log in into the user or the group that you have created. You also have the ability to edit the properties of the accounts. And let's look into the assigned roles. Once you've created your users and groups, you can assign them to roles that control their level of access. The roles define what a user or group can do within a resource group or subscription. There are many built-in roles available in Azure, such as owner, contributor, and reader. You can also create custom roles if needed, but that will need a P1 or P2 license. Let us go ahead and add and assign a custom role to this particular user. We would be assigning the Power BI administrator role, and let's also add in a report reader role and add that. This gives the user abilities within the organization. Click on refresh and we should have the roles over there. There are some best practices to keep in mind when managing users and groups in Azure. One is to use role-based access control, that's the RBAC controls, to manage the access to your resources. RBAC ensures that users and groups have the appropriate level of access based on their role. Another best practice is to assign permissions at the lowest possible level. For example, if you only need to give a user access to a specific resource, assign them to a role for that resource rather than assigning them to a higher level role that will give them access to other resources they do not need. In conclusion, managing accesses to Azure is critical to ensuring the security of your data and applications. Users and groups are a key part of this, and they allow you to control who access your resources and what they can do with them. By following the best practices we've discussed, you can ensure that your users and groups are managed effectively and efficiently. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope you found it helpful.